So during the Ming Dynasty, the Yebel Shoal had protected China on the northeastern border. They had operated in secrecy, great military unit. Information is very difficult to get about them, but there is enough that we know what they were and what was happening. I do think that over the years to come, we will find out more, and this presents a very exciting outlook. So the Yebel Shoal were holding back the Manchu and the Mongols and operating in stealth at night. However, the Manchu finally broke through and invaded China. And this was a major problem for the Yebel Shoal. The Manchu, once they were in power, they began an enormous witch hunt. Many Yebel Shoal were killed, and the families of the Yebel Shoal all suffered terrible consequences. But we do know that some got away. Scant evidence does show us that they may have headed south and joined back into the Chinese community south of the Yangtze River. Now we're in the Qing Dynasty and life changes. Once again, China is under oppression. And one needs to recall that during the Mongol era, we had the same thing. So whatever was established during the Mongol era, which is underground movements, use of stealth in the civil society, and so on, we now have the same thing starting over in the Qing Dynasty. From the moment of the Manchu invasion, there was a big shift that took place. Chinese martial arts went from military-based to civil. Chinese patriots who sought to overthrow the Qing government had to work underground. They had to work in stealth. Stories of the Qing Dynasty are very interesting, and we find there's an entire life going on the rooftops. So in the daytime, life is happening as per normal, but at nighttime, a new world opens up on the rooftops. We know this because we even have Western accounts of people discussing the situation. Exactly why everybody took to the rooftops is something we can't define yet. But it's important to note that there were some very skilled people up there, and there were some very unskilled. And the unskilled were mostly the police. So by the late Qing Dynasty, the economic situation was terrible. There was extreme poverty, and we had crime everywhere. The arts we're talking about were really about killing, because you had to kill to stay alive. Whether you were dealing with bandits or whether you were dealing with the Qing Dynasty, it didn't matter. It was all very, very bad stuff. And we even have a record of young ladies being strung up by the neck and pieces being taken off them and sold as fresh meat. The crime had risen because the economic situation was awful. The bodyguard situation had risen to counter the thieves. And the spies and the assassins, well, they were there because they were trying to beat the Qing Dynasty. So finally we come to the question of who were the Chinese ninja? Well, in the beginning of Chinese history, they were spies and they were penetrators. By the Ming Dynasty, we had spies and specific military units that operated only at night. And then by the end of the Qing Dynasty, it's confusion. We have spies, we have assassins, we have thieves, and we have bodyguards. But the true subject, the person we should be looking at, was the penetrator. People that were trained to penetrate an enemy fortress, a compound, a household, to gain information, to burn the place down, or to kill somebody. So now you have quite a good idea of who were the Yebantou and what they did over history. But do we have any idea what they looked like? Luckily for us, Bai Yansheng leaves us a complete description. It is a silk garb of black or grey, with knee-length trousers. The upper part of the outfit consists of tightly buttoned shirt and a pouch of 1,000 treasures. Inside the pouch, medicines, chemicals, and other paraphernalia are carried. Now there's also an alternative to this pouch called the Nine-Dragon Sack, which is a vest-like garment. They're usually made of leather. They're soft and resilient. He goes on to say the next article is the darts pouch, which is black in color, 1 foot long and 5 inches wide, with a flap on the top. It's tied across the torso with a flying claw for scaling up the heights. A sword is attached to the waist and to the left shoulder, using the belt to fasten it. This weapon is known as the Demon Head Sword. It measures 2 foot long and is exceptionally sharp, thin, and light. A length of cloth is wrapped around each leg to provide protection. These are the ancient leggings. A dagger with its shaft pointing upwards is placed inside the cloth of each leg. The daggers are 5 inches long, 5 fractions of an inch wide, and they're light and thin, and they are sharp on both sides. A black cloth, 3 yards 2 foot long, 1 foot 2 inches wide, covers the head and the face. Sometimes other schools wear sleeping caps and a mincha, a face mask. The sandals are made of woven hemp and woman's hair. He goes on to write, thus fully attired, the Yabanto may now embark on his rounds. And he tops off this section by saying the drugs and chemicals that he carries include potions to induce fainting and explosives. Well, folks, there you have it. There really were ninja-like figures in China, and they really did look like everything that you see in the movies. Sometimes real history is even more strange than the legends.